Welcome to the Mario Cooks Show, hosted by professional chef, author, and food personality Mario Pereca. This program is about food, cooking, entertaining, and most importantly, having fun. And now, the host of the Mario Cooks Show, Mario Pereca.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are listening to the Mario Cooks Show on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS. I am Mario Pereca. I'm here with Bill Alexander, and we are coming off last weekend, a busy week at the home show. I hope everyone heard the remote broadcast we did. So, Bill, I want to set the stage really quickly here, right at the top of the show.
Okay.
Remember last Saturday we talked about the different segments?
Yes.
So right now on the stove, we'll do a recap of the home show.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the remote because some really interesting things happened in that broadcast and some really interesting guests more so.
I can think of one offhand.
And I know you're thinking
about,
but
I won't mention it.
I think it's a good idea for people to go back and listen to that.
Right.
Because it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of great information. And it's something about the local area that people can really listen to what's there and take advantage of.
Right.
Then in the oven, which is the second segment, what's coming up, again, food holidays, something we do every week. So we want to cover the holidays between now and next week. And then on the back burner at the end of the show, or our third segment, I want to talk about springtime and spring foods, seasonal foods, because I had some really interesting conversations at the home show with some people. I talked to a lot of people who grew up on farms. And it was interesting talking to them about seasonal foods and how, and I see it too, from being around food, how it's changed to where you can get tomatoes all year round, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea to buy and use tomatoes all year round.
And we talked about that last week in the after show.
Right. So I want to talk about what's seasonal in the spring, what you should be looking for, and what foods are going to give you more bang for your buck, so to speak, which is the most flavor and help you, with the finished product. So that's the lineup. And I want to remind people to call us. You can call in anytime. Our toll-free number is 855-8MC-SHOW. That's 855-862-7469. And locally, you can reach us at 724-812-0590. And we also have the text line, which is all you have to do is send the word Mario Cooks with no spaces to the number 411-247. You will immediately get a response back once you send that, and it'll have a link to get a recipe on it. And then we'll send out a recipe to you every month, and also just some updates about where we're going to be and what we're doing, because Bill and I really took the show on the road the past month or so.
Last 3 weeks, actually, from the Celebrity Chef Cook-Off to the home show.
Yeah.
And what else may be coming here down the pike in the near future?
Yeah, we have a lot of things going on, and we like to get out in the community and get out there and get the show out there and meet people and get input from the listeners, because we met a lot of people at the home show that came up to the booth and said, "Oh, we listen to your show every week."
And we have to thank WMBS for giving us the opportunity to be able to do what we did Saturday, because normally we probably wouldn't have been able to do it, but because of an opening in the schedule and the kindness of the guys at WMBS here, they were nice enough to give us the 2 hours to talk to you guys. So it was kind of fun.
And I hope that they enjoyed it as much as the people at the home show, because we got a lot of positive feedback, and people really, really enjoyed that, especially the exhibitors that we got to interview on the show. That we had a great time with that.
And I think the one exhibitor that I guess I was most impressed with, which I've been impressed with him for a long time, who came up to us afterwards and gave us our business card. He basically said, when the next book comes out, I want to be on your show, and that was Jim O'Brien.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, and he's you could tell that he's a media pro. He's done this before, because when he put the headset on, we really didn't even have to ask him any questions.
No, he just went.
Yep, and he has, and you can tell, like I said on that broadcast, you can tell he's a writer, because he has just the way he tells stories. It just draws you in, and you just want to hear what's happening next. You hang on every word. But it was an honor to interview him, and he gave me a signed copy of one of his books, which was, I want to thank him for that, which was fantastic. But I just want to second what you said, Bill, and thank WMBS for giving us the opportunity to be there and to broadcast the show live from the home show, which was great for us and great for everyone involved.
And I have one more person to thank who got drug along to come with me, and I have to thank my son DJ for helping out, because he was actually the one corralling all the guests to bring them over to the table, and he got paid handsomely in pie at the end of the broadcast. So for those of you that think we're using him because he was my kid, well, yeah, we did, but he also got fed very well, too.
And he did do a great job. He was there, he was working, and he helped us out a lot.
He actually tracked people down. It's so funny. There was a gentleman taking photographs for the local newspaper, for the Valley Independent, taking pictures, and he's doing all this stuff, writing down, and I couldn't find our business cards. So I grabbed Dan. I said, go find 2 cards and go take it to him. And he tracked the guy down on the other side of the floor and gave him the card. So we'll see what happens with that. But
yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes open for that. But yeah, thanks, DJ. He did a great job. He helped us out. Our jobs would have been a lot more difficult without him.
The funny thing is that I asked him about going, and he was back and forth on it, and then realizing it whenever we were doing everything. I'm going, how in the heck were we going to be able to get guests to come over to the table unless we had someone there to do it?
Right.
So, and we pulled your uncle out of the audience briefly to help us with the one winery because they didn't take a 12-year-old seriously when he was getting people.
It makes sense. I mean, you've got to be careful because if you're giving out, samples of an alcoholic beverage, you've got to be careful with who you talk to and who, just because of the drinking age. But I also want to remind people to check out our website, mariocooks.com. We're in the middle of kind of an update there, but we're going to get that finished here hopefully within the next month or so. But there's still a lot of information on there that people can check out. And so, Bill, what I want to ask you is,
sure,
you came in. I was there all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the home show, and I had a blast. But you came in on Saturday. You came in the busiest time, and you set up for the radio show, and we were up on stage doing the Mario Cook show. What were and this was your first year there.
Yes.
So what were your initial feelings? And now that you got to leave and take it all in and kind of rehash it all, what do you think?
I was actually very impressed with what I saw because I've been at the Pittsburgh home show before. And this one, yes, it is a smaller scale, but there was just as many vendors as would be at the larger home show. And it was really nice. A lot of friendly people, very well organized. The layout was easy to follow. I mean, you could find things, and directions were very easy to understand. When people said, oh, you need to go here, here, and here, you were able to figure it out. So it was very well done. I was actually very happy with what I took part in on Saturday.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, a lot of people came up to the booth. And for the first day, it was funny because the initial day on Friday, it's generally a lot of the kids are still in school,
right,
and adults are still working, but all the retirees come out on Friday, which makes sense because they don't want to be around the large crowds and such. So they came out, and they would immediately we had a big banner with our logo on it and the WMBS logo and everything, and they would immediately fixate on the WMBS logo.
Which is 1/3 the size of the logo that is our logo.
And they thought, I would say a good 60-70% of them thought we were only there with the radio station, and we had to explain that we're there with the station, but we also have our show that we do every Saturday morning at 9. So I want to welcome new listeners that may have found us at the home show and tuned in this morning.
The one thing I thought was interesting, too, and I was given a little red sign, it says on the air. And when I was given to it Friday, they said, you need to take this because you're going to have someone come up to you and talk to you in the middle of the broadcast, and you're going to need this. Well, I've done remotes year after year, never had a problem with it until Saturday. As you're talking... You're talking to the gentleman from the winery, and this guy comes up to me. Luckily, I caught my mic in time. He carries on a conversation with me for 5 minutes about how he listens to WMBS, how he listens to Jim Morgan in the morning. And I'm going, well, thank you very much. And he goes, well, you on the radio now? I'm going, well, yeah, I am, but they're talking. So again, it was just interesting because people, when they see you, they just want to come and talk to you. They don't think about the radio in between.
Yeah, and that was good. We had a nice crowd there.
Yes.
I mean, sitting down because they had chairs set up in front of the stage, and we filled them up.
Yeah. Well, half of that was with your family in the opening segment.
Well, yeah, it was nice of them to show up and support us. That's how you got to use my uncle to go out and get to the wine guy.
Yeah.
But we had a nice crowd there, and even after they left, more people filed in, and especially when Jim O'Brien, when we were interviewing him,
there was quite a few people that listened to
us. It was really good. We gained a lot of interest, and I emceed all weekend there, so I was there for all the demonstrations and on stage and helping people, and I think that we actually drew over the 2 hours the biggest crowd.
Well, that's really great. And speaking of great, it's time to make our first break. So
that's great.
Let's step away and take care of that.
Yes, we're going to go to our first break. When we get back, we'll go to Food Holidays, as we do every week here on the Mario Cook Show, and we are being served up up to you today by the Big Barn Country Store and Deli, by Pareca Chiropractic Center Inc., by 4th Street Barbecue, and by 30 East Main. Welcome back. You are listening to the Mario Cook Show on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS. I am Mario Pareca. I'm here with Bill Alexander, and we kind of rehashed the home show in the first segment. But before we move on, I want to do food holidays now this segment. But before we move on, there's one other thing that we quite frankly forgot to do the last segment because we got caught up in talking about it. I want to thank our sponsors.
Oh, please do.
Because they donated a lot of giveaways for us and gave us a lot of stuff, in WMBS included. Mm-hmm. They gave us T-shirts, bumper stickers, frisbees, keychains, and then 30 East Main gave us three $20 gift cards that we raffled off. Pareca Chiropractic Center gave us a pillow and some sleep aid.
You know what? I assumed that's where that came from.
Yes.
But I meant to ask, where'd the pillow come from?
Yeah, I had one of the ladies came up, another exhibitor, and said, "What does a pillow have to do with cooking?" And I said, "Well, our sponsors donated it for a giveaway." And the Big Barn, not only did they give us pies to give out as samples at the event,
excellent.
which were fantastic, but they also gave us a popcorn basket to raffle off and to give away. So I want to thank our sponsors for the 4th Street Barbecue gave us the coupons,
mm-hmm.
which were great because if you like barbecue, there's some great deals on those coupons that people could just come up and take. So
yeah, I saw those.
Yeah, and so I want to really thank our sponsors and WMBS for all the giveaways that made it possible for us to give back.
And I think we convinced the Big Barn that they need to set up a booth there next year.
Yes,
I think we did that. And the one thing I will say this is the apple pie at the Big Barn is unbelievable. That is one of the best apple pies I think I ever had.
It's great, and the cherry pie too.
And you made the comment we needed a microwave there just so we could warm it and ice cream on top of it because that would have made it excellent.
Those pies were fresh baked that morning.
That's what he said.
They brought them I think it was around. Well, we started the broadcast at 3, but I believe they brought the pies around 1.
Yeah.
So we cut them into small pieces and we're giving them away as samples, and I think everyone really enjoyed the pie. So, again, I just want to thank our sponsors for all they contributed to the home show, because without them, it quite frankly would have made our lives a lot more difficult. Or it probably wouldn't even have been possible for us to be there. So, now, moving forward, let's talk about some food holidays.
Sure, let's do it.
That's what we do every week. So, today, Bill, we have a double holiday.
Okay.
First and foremost, Happy National Eggs Benedict Day.
I like Eggs Benedict.
I love Eggs Benedict. The English muffin, a little Canadian bacon,
That's
poached
good.
egg, hollandaise sauce. You can't beat it. And that's my sister's favorite. Whenever she stays at a hotel,
right?
You know, my parents they'll go travel for business, and they'll take her with them,
right?
And they'll go to their meeting, and she'll be in the hotel room, and she'll always call me because she gets room service and orders Eggs Benedict. So, for a really picky eater, it's something that she still likes.
Poached eggs for a picky eater is kind of an unusual thing,
I think it's the hollandaise, the buttery richness of the hollandaise on top that kind of makes up for that.
I guess that would do it.
But so Happy National Eggs Benedict Day. You can have some for breakfast this morning if you haven't made it yet. I know we're on. If we were still on at 8 a.m., we could probably convince people to do it. But now that it's 9, brunch. We could do brunch.
Yeah.
And it's also the Day of the Mushroom.
The Day of the Mushroom.
That's what it's called, Day of the Mushroom. Which makes sense because
sounds like a bad movie.
Mushrooms.
You've heard of the Day of the Dead. Now it's the Day of the Mushroom.
That just reminded me of all those creepy Evil Dead commercials I've been seeing lately. It's like
The Walking Dead, yeah.
Like you fall asleep with your TV on and you wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom and you see the zombie on your TV and you're like, but
the walking mushroom.
You
there
see
you
a
go.
mushroom on your TV,
There
yeah, mushrooms are seasonal during the springtime. So
is it really?
Actually,
I would have never known that. I love mushrooms.
I like morels are some of my favorites. Chanterelles, porcinis, fresh porcini. We used to do a porcini at the club, which was great. We would stuff it. We'd actually hollow it out and roast it, butter roast it, and then stuff it with crab meat, and then put a glaçage over the top, which is essentially a hollandaise with whipped cream folded into it, and some Parmesan cheese, and then we'd brown it in the oven. So that was one of my favorite things to eat. And then can't forget portobellos. Everyone loves portobellos. Portobellos, actually, if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, portobellos are a real meaty mushroom, so they can actually take the place of a protein on a plate.
Right.
Because they're substantial enough. So stuffed mushrooms we've talked about in the past. There's some great mushroom recipes in the cookbook, The Good, the Bad, the Cookbook. So you can check that out online. But the day of the mushroom. So
The day of the mushroom.
Yeah, have some mushrooms tonight.
I probably will.
Pizza.
Steak.
Mushrooms on pizza, mushrooms on steak.
Steak.
I posted a picture on Facebook of that. I had a nice New York strip
Yeah, I
steak
know.
that
I saw
made,
it.
and I had some mushrooms I put on top of that, and that was good eating that night.
Yeah.
But I think it was the Thursday before Good Friday that I made that. So I went to this grocery store to look for something to eat, and I thought, tomorrow's Good Friday. I'm gonna have to fast, and I can't eat meat, so I might as well. And I saw
Enjoy it.
Yep. I saw these real thick New York strip steaks in the butcher's case, and I said, that's my dinner right there.
Yep. And I had let's see, the last time I had the T-bones we had were that Saturday before Easter because we were at my father-in-law's.
Was that your cow?
Yeah, that was Kurt. Yes,
Kurt?
that was Kurt. We have to get a new Kurt because our Kurt is running out.
Now, when you get the new one, will it have a name as
Probably.
well? No, you didn't name it,
No,
did you?
I didn't.
That's what was on
Well, what's really interesting about this, and the story about Kurt, our cow, which wasn't mine, we bought it, is that friends of ours, and Matt Dowling is part of the group that went in to buy the cow. So we got our side of beef and we split it 5 ways. And I asked Matt if he still had Kurt. He goes, nope, still in the freezer. But he used some of the meat, I understand, for the meatballs that he made.
That's right, for the Celebrity Chef
Celebrity
Cook-Off.
Chef
And they
Cook-Off.
wanted to use frozen meatballs, and I
Right.
said, really?
Yeah.
Really? Frozen meatballs?
So Kurt went to a good cause
So,
on that night, yes.
Yes. And I saw that when we went over to prep, because we all prepped together. I saw all that ground meat sitting out, and I figured that's what that was from.
That was Kurt.
So,
He gave his life for charity.
good for him, for colon cancer awareness. So on the 17th, which is tomorrow, we have National Cheese Ball Day.
I
love
like cheese balls.
And, when I first saw this, I was thinking of the cheese balls you buy, like the little cheese balls, and
The
I
puffed
love those.
ones.
Yeah. But actually, upon further review
The
and
ones
research,
with cheese balls with the olives in it?
it's the big ones you use with crackers at parties.
Oh, those type of cheese balls.
And again, there's a great cheese ball recipe in the Good, the Bad, the Cookbook. It's actually a Langostino cheese ball we
that
made,
sounds
and it's
good.
got a little spice in it, some Creole seasoning, and it's got like peppers, onions, sautéed peppers and onions in it, and things. And it's got chili sauce on the top, and it's one of my favorite party things to make, one of my favorite party items. So get a copy of the cookbook and check that out, because you can cover your mushrooms, you can cover your cheese ball, and so you can also buy cheese balls. I mean, at the grocery store they have them, but
Right.
a homemade one, you can't beat that.
See, I thought you were talking about the little ones that they use for hors d'oeuvres that most of the time have olives in it, wrapped in cheese and then baked. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Not the cracker and cheese that you normally think of.
Well, I guess it's cheese ball day. It's called cheese ball, so I guess you can take it how you please. It's
Well,
your
want to?
holiday. You
Okay.
celebrate it how you want. But when I did, like I said, some further research on the cheese ball, just to be sure, and the ones that they listed were all the big party cheese
Right.
balls with crackers that you would serve.
I like a port wine
Oh, yeah, those are
cheese
good.
with the almonds on the outside,
Absolutely.
and a Ritz cracker
And you can actually make that yourself if you get port wine, and you just it's one of my favorite sauces for pork.
Does Rip Pepe have port wine?
He said they were working on dessert wines.
Were they
So
really?
he said they're working on it, so we're gonna have to keep our eyes on that and see, because his wines were off the charts.
Well, I'm waiting for I want that the one that you can sit on the back porch and watch the leaves change. That's the one I want to
apple
try.
wine. Did you try the apple wine?
He was out of it when
the apple wine was really good. My mother's favorite.
The
She
Niagara?
bought a bottle of the Niagara.
I had that, yeah.
It's like a Concord white grape.
was
Really,
very
really
good.
good wine. Now I lost making the port wine.
Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite sauces to use for pork tenderloin or for pork is a port wine reduction. And you just take port wine and you reduce it really slow at a simmer until it's like a syrup consistency. Makes an excellent glaze and sauce. But you can also take that reduction and fold it into cream cheese and roll it into a ball and use that as your port wine cheese.
That sounds good.
And you can also take, if you like cheddar in there as well.
Yes.
You can use Velveeta, put some Velveeta in it, or some shredded cheddar. If you do it like on a microplane, so it's really, really fine,
Okay.
you can fold that into it, so you get like a cheddar and a cream cheese and port wine. And so you can actually make your own and then put slivered almonds on the outside or whatever,
Sounds
or
great.
even walnuts, whatever you like. So there's a way you can actually make it yourself at home. And,
Or you could let
how
Kraft
you
do it
like
and be
it.
done with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anything processed, right?
Or
But,
a hell of a good cheese, one of the two
there you
companies.
go. But it's also, and I don't know why they would have this shared day with National Cheese Ball Day, but it's Healthy Kids Day. So
Well,
it's,
cheese can be healthy, I guess.
yeah, okay. It's but Healthy Kids
Hey, it's
Day
better than
is-
some of the alternatives.
Yeah, Healthy Kids Day is I feel important to keep the kid,
Is
keep
that
the
the
kids
60
healthy.
minutes of?
And-
Oh no, that's play 60 that the NFL does.
Yeah,
where they
60 minutes outside every
yeah.
day. But my whole thing with kids is when they're young, they're forming their taste. But you and I talk about it
Right.
all the time. Would you go back to your comfort foods?
Yeah.
Even as an adult, you
Yeah.
think about what you ate as a kid. So if you feed your kids healthy as their tastes develop, they're going to develop a liking and a taste for healthier foods.
That's right.
They not to say they can't eat candy, but candy and sugary stuff can be more of a dessert item or more of a here you did good on your report card, have a piece of candy type deal.
Right.
So that it's a treat, but it's not all they want. And that's my whole thing. Because a lot, if you get into this fast food and this convenience, and that's all you feed your kids all the time, that's all they're going to want the rest of their lives.
My kids' new thing, and I don't know how it happened or what it is, are those little oranges they call cuties.
Okay, those are good.
I mean, they're sitting on the counter in the kitchen now like candy because they can go grab it, eat
Yeah.
it, and go with it. And I was like really impressed going, wow, I never thought I'd see my kids do it, but it's there. It's the alternative, and they're taking advantage
They're
of it.
eating fruit. And
Yeah,
that's good.
it's
So
good
it's,
for 'em.
it's something that you don't mind seeing them eat. And,
Right.
You don't mind giving to them. So that's my feeling on that. But the following day on the 18th, moving on, is National Animal it's Animal Cracker's birthday. So
How
it's
old is the animal
I
cracker?
do not know. We'll have to look that up. But it's their birthday. Now, my question to you when I saw this was, do you like the iced or the plain?
Yes.
Iced?
No, both. I like both.
Both. Okay. I like the iced. I like them both. If you're more of a purist, you probably like the plain. But
But I want to go back to this, and some of the people in the listening audience, maybe they can relate. Shirley Temple, 1940s.
animal
Crackers in my soup.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Were there different types of animal crackers than there are now? Because what we consider now is like a cookie.
Yeah.
Well, the other ones, I can't
That's
imagine
true.
putting cookies in my soup.
Did you, I don't. It may just be a song, to be honest. I
Come
don't know.
on, it had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, well, I know that's a good question. We should. I wonder if any of the listeners know. They could call in and let us know if you know about that. That's a good question. 855-8MC shows toll free or 724-812-0590.
Because
I'd like to know. About
I always wondered that. And I'm going, I can't really imagine putting an animal cracker that I know of
Right.
today in my
So-
soup, let alone let it being iced and putting it in my
yeah,
soup.
that's like
Ugh.
tomato soup or something. Now that brings me to two thoughts that I have now.
Okay.
The first one is, for as much flack as we give each other week in and week out about singing, I think that's the first time we've actually sang together.
Okay.
And
in
so
unison.
we can mark that as that's
That's
a
done
big,
off the
important
bucket
day.
list.
Yeah. So number two, animal crackers always remind me of something else that I don't see anymore, and I used to love as a kid.
Okay.
The McDonald's cookies that came in
Yes.
the box.
Yes.
I used to love those. They weren't anything special, and they were like shortbread.
They had Mayor McCheese.
yeah.
You had Grimace. You
Yes.
had the Fry Guys. You had the Hamburglar.
Yeah.
And you had, what was the police officer? It was the Quarter Pounder. But I know exactly
They
what you're
were
talking about.
awesome.
And Ronald McDonald's
They were
head.
awesome cookies.
Yes.
I used to love them, and every kid did. And you go to a birthday party at McDonald's, and that's what they had: apple pies for dessert, and they had
The
the
cookies.
and
Yeah.
I would always want the cookies. But I don't see them. I haven't eaten at McDonald's in a long time, so maybe they do still have them. But I haven't seen or heard anything about them in
We
years.
need to get Mr. Delegati on the air, who owns the franchise of McDonald's in southwestern Pennsylvania.
Okay, we'll have to get him on and ask him
and
about
see
the
if he
cookies.
can tell us about the cookies.
Because that's whenever I think animal
That's
crackers,
true.
it draws me back to
That's
that. But,
true.
Okay, so on the 19th, which is the following day, we have first and again two holidays. It's National Garlic Day,
I like garlic.
which you gotta love garlic. I
Yep.
mean, and a good rule of thumb for garlic, just so people know, this is my kind of tip for garlic: the smaller the garlic clove, the more intense the garlic flavor.
The more of a kick
larger,
it has.
Yes, the larger the clove, the more mild it's going to be.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that, but it's something interesting. And I love roasted garlic.
Mm-hmm.
I like to use it on anything. An easy way to roast garlic is just cut the top off, so you expose the tops of the cloves.
Mm-hmm.
Drizzle a little olive oil, salt and pepper. Put it in a pan. Wrap it with foil. Put it in the oven about 250 degrees, low and slow. Let it go for half hour, 45 minutes, an hour at most.
Mm-hmm.
Then remove the foil. Let it go another half hour just to get some color on it. And then what you can do is you can cool it to room temperature. And if you just grab the bottom of that clove or that bulb of garlic and squeeze it, the garlic will come out like a roasted paste.
Oh, really?
And it's awesome for marinades, for spreads on crackers.
Sounds good.
On bread, and it's real simple to do. It just takes a little time, but it's in the oven, so it's like Ron Popeil would say, you can kind of set it and forget it. So and it's also on the 19th, National Amaretto Day.
I like amaretto.
I do too. And what are those commercials they have? In my family, being an Italian family, when I think of amaretto, we always used to have at my grandfather's after Sunday dinner, we would have dessert. And when we'd have dessert, it was whatever. My aunts would bring a cake, a pie, cookies, whatever. Sometimes all three. And then we'd have coffee, and they'd always bring out anisette and amaretto to put in the coffee. And so when I see these commercials about amaretto on the rocks, I'm like, really? People drink it like that? Do you ever? I've never seen anyone go into a bar, even a classy out, and get amaretto.
I usually
on the
have it
rocks.
in my coffee, but hey, we got to step away for a break now.
Okay.
So
we have 3 more food holidays to go over after the break, and then we'll get into some spring foods. So don't touch that radio dial. We will be back with more here on the Mario Cook Show, and we are being served up to you today by the Big Bar and Country Store and Deli, by Parekha Chiropractic Center Inc., by 4th Street Barbecue, and by 30 East Main. Good to have you back. You are listening to the Mario Cook Show on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS. I am Mario Parekha. I'm here with Bill Alexander. And I want to throw out the phone number again real quick, Bill, because we talked about animal crackers last segment. And we want people to call in and answer our question about the song, The Animal Crackers in My Soup. Maybe some people do eat animal crackers in their soup.
I just can't imagine that.
But the number toll-free, 855-8MC-SHOW, which is 855-862-7469. And if locally is 724-812-0590, just like the station. And then you can send us a text at 411-247. All you have to do is text the word Mario Cooks, all one word, followed by your question, and we will receive it. We'll be able to talk about it on the air or text you back. But that's an easy way to get in touch with us if you don't want to actually call and talk to us. So you can do that.
Now, the one thing we have to do, though, we realized during break, Mario said he'd be able to sleep in and get all this extra sleep, 9 a.m., until he realized that during the last segment, he looked at his calendar wrong.
It happens. There's a lot of numbers on those calendars. And I'm not a math major, so yeah.
Well, hey,
I looked
happens.
at the wrong month. So when I said today was National Eggs Benedict Day, that's not actually the case because we started on the 16th instead of the 13th. So we're going to go backwards now. Now that we covered the latter half of the week,
let's do the beginning
of the week. And today is actually National Peach Cobbler Day.
Okay, I like peach cobbler.
So,
that works.
There you go. And I hope that you can eat your peach cobbler and forgive me. Okay. And Tomorrow is the 14th, is actually National Pecan Day.
Didn't pecan have a day already?
They have days all the time. I mean,
the National Nut Board, they're just taking advantage of everything here.
I mean, well, I guess they want to sell some nuts, you know what I mean? So,
I guess.
National Pecan Day is April the 14th. You can eat pecans with your peach cobbler.
Right.
Because you'll have some leftover. If you make a whole peach cobbler today, you'll have some leftover tomorrow. Sprinkle some toasted pecans on top. And there you go. You're set. You're celebrating everything at once. And then, on the 15th, this is the last one we have to do, is National Glazed Spiral Ham Day.
Oh, I love glazed spiral ham.
It's awesome. And you know where we get our hams from?
Yes, from Amish pigs.
The Big Barn. With their top hats and beards.
If you didn't catch Saturday's program, we were at the end of the first hour, I guess it was. And Mario's so serious about the hams, about Amish farms and everything else. And I said, no. Does that mean the pig was Amish too?
You asked if the pig was Amish or if the farmer was Amish. And I guess it would have to be both. Because if a pig's living on an Amish farm, doesn't that make it Amish?
It could be vacationing until his slaughter. I don't know.
Took a lifelong vacation, huh?
Porky Pig.
Why would he pick a farm like that? Why would he? Well, I guess pigs like to roll in mud, so maybe it's like the spa for them. I don't know.
There's no TV, no Wi-Fi. I mean, think about it.
Pigs love Wi-Fi. What do you mean? I don't know where this conversation came from or where it's headed, but
Well, because I was thinking about it and I was listening to the program, because I downloaded as a podcast on the way from the house to the home show. I was listening to it again on Saturday, and I'm going, is that the farmer or the pig that's Amish? And that's what made me think of it. And I'm going, okay.
So we're talking about the pig with a top hat and a beard. Does he have like a little spectacle he wears on his eye?
No, that would be English.
That'd be English.
That'd be a British ham.
Ah, okay. I'm sure we could find some British ham. Maybe the Big Barn will track us down to British ham.
And you did talk about Canadian or egg Benedicts with Canadian
That's
bacon.
Canadian bacon.
So there you go. So what would a Canadian pig look like?
You'd have ice skates and a hockey stick.
Good day,
eh? Anyway, so those are your food holidays for the week in reverse order. I guess I would have liked to have messed up last week, so we could have said it was for April Fools, but
it hits home even more now because it was like afterwards the audience got confused because they thought maybe they lost 3 days when they woke up this morning.
And if any of you caught that before we did, congratulations. But we just roll, so
it's live.
Fun.
What do you expect?
Yeah. So anyway, let's get to the back burner here. What we have cooking back here, and we're going to talk about some spring foods.
Okay. What classifies a spring food? What's in season?
Yes.
Okay.
Seasonal foods during this time of the year when the weather changes from cold to and it progressively begins to get warmer. And what I think about is, when you think about the weather, and you can kind of relate food to weather by, in the wintertime it's cold, and it's really like kind of drab out, I want to say. It's cold, it gets dark early, so I think about like heartier foods like stews, not much color because there's not as much sunlight, so I think about, root vegetables, parsnips, turnips, carrots, potatoes. So now that we're getting into spring, the days are getting longer, the weather's getting a little warmer, so you can start thinking about freshness, about more fresh produce, about things like beets, carrots. Well, carrots are a root vegetable, but they can still, in the springtime, they grow and get bigger and more flavorful. Cherries are great in the springtime. Asparagus is its prime in the springtime. So you think about colorful foods, you think about produce, and I also like to move towards lighter proteins. In the wintertime, you want your red meats. You want things that are going to be substantial, things that are going to fill you up and keep you feeling warm, so to speak.
Right.
And then in the springtime, we can gravitate more towards poultry, like chicken, different fish, things that are a little lighter, seafoods, and things like that. So that's how I like to think about my seasons. I like to think about, wintertime, how does it make you feel? What would you relate to that? And then springtime, again, colorful, fresher, lighter.
Right.
Is kind of the way it works. And then when you progress into summer, which is even warmer and longer, you can start thinking about things that are refreshing. You can think about your melon. You can think about those sorts of things, all the fresh produce, all the things that need sunlight, because that's when you're going to get the most of it. So that's kind of the way you can think about seasonally. But the best way to know what's in season and to know what you need to buy and what you should be getting, they have a thing called Google. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No, never heard of it
so
before.
It's a website, and you go to it, and then you can search for things. So if you search for seasonal foods, you're going to find it. And what I like about that is everyone nowadays, almost everyone, has these smartphones, which are essentially computers in your pocket. So when you're in the supermarket, you want to go by what looks the best, what looks the freshest. You can always pop your smartphone out and Google that item and see when's it in season.
And I think that's an excellent idea because I'll be honest with you, I would have never thought of that. When we're looking at produce and looking at vegetables and that kind of thing with fruits and that, I would have never thought of something that I use every day to go to the grocery store and say, okay, what's seasonal for this? Because and we talked about this last week too in the after show, a lot of the stuff that we get were never intentioned to be year-round fruits and vegetables.
Exactly.
But because of the way the growing season is, because of the way things are being farmed, it gives us that opportunity to have things that we shouldn't be having at certain times of the year.
Yeah, and I like to use the example of tomatoes because you can get tomatoes in the grocery store all year round, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should be buying fresh tomatoes all year round. If you get a tomato in the wintertime and then you get one in the summertime and you taste them, they're going to have different flavors because summertime is the time for tomatoes. They're going to be more flavorful. They're going to taste more like tomatoes.
Right.
They're going to be better use, and they're going to make whatever you're cooking with tomatoes taste better. So it's not just, being a good cook or being a good chef or whatever isn't just about technique and, cooking, making sure the steak's done to a perfect medium rare. It's also about the ingredients. The ingredients are really the most important thing, and making sure having your ingredients work for you as opposed to against you is a big difference. You can make something very, very flavorful with ingredient that is in season that you otherwise couldn't have regardless. Even if you cook it the exact same way at the other time of the year, it's going to taste different. It's not going to be as rich, it's not going to be as flavorful, and it's not going to really have that pop that you want. So Springtime, again, you should be looking for like cherries are great in the springtime. Fennel is a good springtime vegetable that you can use, and it's aromatic. It's great with seafood. One of my favorite vegetables, and you're going to have to probably go to a specialty store to find this. I mean, they may have it once or twice at the local supermarket, but you're going to really have to look for it. Fiddlehead ferns. I love fiddlehead ferns.
What are they? I've never heard of them before.
It's a fern. It's green, and it almost looks like a spiral. And what you do with it is you can cook it. I like to blanch it first, blanch it and shock it, and it'll keep that. It's interesting because when you blanch it in boiling water, it's going to turn, even though it's a green vegetable, it's going to turn your blanching water almost red.
Okay.
And then you take it out and you shock it, so you stop the cooking and you get that bright green color, and then you can saute it with garlic or whatever. But it's got a really interesting flavor. The texture-wise, it kind of reminds me of asparagus.
Okay.
But it's got almost a bitter flavor. So you want to really enhance it with like garlic or some other aromatic vegetables. But it's a fantastic vegetable, and it's springtime is really the only time you're going to find it. So you can look for those. Garlic is a springtime vegetable. So garlic is.
See, I would see garlic being something that would be year-round, though.
Well, you can, but it's spring into early summer, and I'm talking like green garlic.
Okay, so
like
you're talking fresh, just
fresh
picked
garlic.
Okay.
Yeah, spring to early summer is the best time for that. Grapefruits are
Right.
at their prime right now into early summer. Scallions and green onions are another one that you can look at, and all sorts of greens from the Swiss chards to the lettuces and all that stuff starts now, and it's good and be good all summer long.
Now, the age-old question: what's the difference between a scallion and a green onion?
Semantics. It's just different names. It's just different names. I mean, someone calls it tomato, someone calls it green onion, someone calls it a scallion. I've always called it scallions just because that's what we called it in the restaurant.
Right.
But a lot of people will say green onions. Basically the same. I mean, you can get spring
It's
onions.
a great song by Booker T and the MGs, though, if you're doing green onions.
Spring onions can be smaller. They do grow spring onions, which are a little different. But, for what it's worth in recipes and what you're going to be using it for, green onions and scallions can be interchanged.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry too much about that. They are different things, but you're really going to start splitting hairs for the home cook with that. I like
Is the taste the same?
Very, very close.
Okay.
I mean, scallions may be a little more assertive, but they're very close. Like I said, if you have a recipe and you switch one up for the other, it's not going to make that much of a difference.
Okay, I'm just curious because I've always heard that it interchangeable, and I'm going. I know they're really not the same thing because there wouldn't be two different.
Well,
names
there's
for
also
it.
ramps too. Ramps are a springtime.
I've never heard of ramps.
That's a springtime onion.
Is it?
And they're great grilled. They're great pickled. And again, you're going to have to look for those at probably the specialty stores. They may get them at the local supermarket once or twice during the season, but it's not something that they're going to have. Like if you go to the market districts, or you go to Robinson, you should be able to find fiddlehead ferns, and you should be able to find ramps.
Fiddlehead ferns. I'll have to look into that.
Pickled ramps, grilled ramps, they're great. Kiwis are in season, spring through the summer. Kohlrabi is one of my favorite vegetables. I like to make cream kohlrabi, and kohlrabi puree is great too. Kumquats.
Kumquats.
Are you familiar with kumquats?
Yes, I've had a kumquat
They're like
before.
real little tiny oranges.
Yes.
And they're good. You can actually eat those peel and all.
Yeah.
If you scrub them down good. Leeks. Leeks are great.
Yes, I've had leeks before.
They're great for soups. Great for aromatic. They're just the outer layers are pretty fibrous, so you're going to want to peel off the first couple layers and really cook them nice and slow. Cook them down in butter or whatever. Melt them in butter. Lemons are in season right now. Mint. Fresh mint is great with lamb. It's great with fruits, vegetables, desserts.
Great in tea.
Great in tea, absolutely. Morels. I love morels. Are you familiar
Now, what
with
is a morel?
It's a mushroom.
Okay, yes, I have had those.
And it's like a darker mushroom, and it kind of looks like it's almost, I want to say, like kind of like a sponge almost. It's dark, it's hollow.
Yes.
And you can stuff morels. They're great with eggs, like in omelets or anything. They're great with pork, great with veal. We used to make a morel cream sauce that we would serve with veal chops. So they're fantastic. Let's see. New potatoes are great right now. They're in season. Parsley, again. Peas. Peas are a fantastic springtime vegetable. You can use peas in all sorts of things. I have a great soup recipe. It's a chilled pea and mint soup. It's fantastic.
Interesting combination.
Oh, it goes great. And you can use frozen peas. You can use fresh peas. You take some aromatics, garlic, celery, onions, cook it down. some vegetable stock, peas. Cook. You don't want to overcook the peas because they'll turn army green. Fresh mint, puree it. It's fantastic.
So you just want a more khaki green, not army green?
You want a bright green. You can get a bright,
green.
vibrant
you want neon
green.
green.
So you're going to have to, you want to cook the peas just until they're cooked,
Gotcha.
Puree it, and chill it as fast as you
Gotcha.
possibly can,
Okay.
and then that green color will set, so you have a nice, bright,
pop.
vibrant green.
I got you.
And you put some mint in there as well. Right at the very end, you throw the mint in and just let it steep for a minute or two and puree it all. It's fantastic. Snow peas, snap peas, I love them all. Radishes. Radishes are in season right now. Radishes are great in salads. You can pickle radishes, grill radishes.
I know people that eat them out of the refrigerator.
You can. My mother does that.
My wife
mother
does that.
loves radishes for whatever reason.
My nephew is now 13, soon to be 14. When he was little, he would go to the garden and pick them out and eat them from the garden. And I mean, they were not mild radishes. They had kick to them.
Now, let me answer your question further. Now that we get to spring onions on my list.
Okay.
Spring onions and scallions are different. Again, I said that you can use them interchangeably, and you can. But
Right.
spring onions, what a spring onion actually is it's a regular onion, but farmers pull them from the field early to
Okay.
thin the rows so the other onions
Okay.
can grow bigger.
So in other words, they're the same thing as onions, but they're pulled earlier than. I
Right.
got it. Makes sense.
But again, you can use them interchangeably with scallions if need be. Rhubarb
rhubarb
is
rhubarb
right
pie.
now the first fruit of the spring in many areas.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I love rhubarb pie.
Yeah, rhubarb
love
pie is
it.
good. Now give me one more before you wrap it up.
Okay, spinach
I like
and
spinach.
strawberries.
I like
Because
fresh
you can
spinach.
use them together. You can use strawberries.
I don't think
So
I've ever
spinach
had
salad with strawberries. It's one of my mother's specialties.
Is it really? I've never had that before. I
Yep.
had that before.
So we can talk more about this on the after show.
I think we should. It was enjoyable.
But those are kind of the spring foods, the ones we mentioned you can go out and look for and utilize in any way that you see fit. And if you have questions about how you can utilize them, feel free to call us. Feel free to email us, info@mariocooks.com. Text us at 411247. And Mario Cooks, put that in your text and then let us know. But we need to go now because our time is up. Correct, Bill?
That's it.
Okay, so we're going to sign off here on WMBS, but you can catch us. We're going to talk more about all this stuff at mariocooks.com at the After Hours podcast, so make sure you come over there, and you can get all our social media information and everything at the website while you're there listening to the After Hours podcast. You can find us everywhere pretty much, so just go to the website and you'll see all that information. But we're going to wrap up another show. We'll be back next week right here on WMBS at 9 a.m. as we are every week with another fun episode of the Mario Cook Show. So for Bill Alexander, I'm Mario Pareca. You've listened to the Mario Cook Show right here on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS, and we will talk to you in just a few minutes at mariocooks.com for the Mario Cook Show After Hours podcast. Talk to you there.
You've been listening to the Mario Cook Show with Mario Pareca, the author of The Good, the Bad, and the Cookbook. For more information on this program and how to download it as a podcast, go to mariocooks.com. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please call us at 1-855-8MC-SHOW. That's 1-855-862-7469. This has been a $1 Million Baby production.